for Wednesday, November 20th. Review of work session discussion meeting minutes.
I didn't have anything.
Department head report.
Just a real quick FYI, this will probably help some of the folks in the audience. We did open the bids yesterday for the Rush Creek paving project. They have been turned over to the law team and the engineers, and I'm sure that they be ready to award bids soon.
We're going to give an update on that issue in executive session. It could be a pending legal matter with the bids. We'll update you.
How many? 4 bids?
5.
5. All right. Any other department head report? Hearing none. Solicitor?
We've got a list of resolutions for tomorrow. I'll go through those first. Just sort of highlighting some of the ordinary ones. Number 3, 4, 58, 59, and 60 are all exonerations. Number 20 and 21, they do deal with the homeless program. However, this is a program that's already in place with Cornerstone as far as placing homeless individuals. It extends that program through February of this year, or next year, excuse me. Number 33 with UPMC, this is an administration service fee. We pay to UPMC $53.51 per employee per month for an administration fee. 34 is our bid for salt. It came in at $80.59. That's what the DPW will use for winter coverage as far as the roads later this year. Hopefully not too much of that. Number 35 is for the use of the lodge for the Christmas extravaganza or festival, I believe is what they call it now. Number 48 is the cleaning project for the magistrate's offices. This is a 3-year contract that runs through October of 2021. Number 55 is that is for a software system for the Recorder of Deeds office, help them maintain their records. Number 61 is for a grant. It is a company that is assisting the Planning Commission to obtain grants. 62 is for the HVC maintenance at the courthouse. 63 is a transit van that the Sheriff's Office is going to lease and ultimately own that after 5 years. Number 66 is the tentative agreements with the detectives. That agreement sort of highlights some of the main provisions of it. It is from 2019, 2021, so it's a 3-year agreement. There is a 3% wage increase each year of that agreement. And their health care coverage is similar to what has been put in place with all the other unions. There is a deductible that is put in place, and there is an increase in contributions that the union members would make throughout the contract towards their health care. And then number 68 is not listed on your agenda, but it's going to be tomorrow. Attorney Rayo is here to discuss that. It deals with a bond issue with the Heritage Valley healthcare system, and I'll let him explain that in a little bit more detail to you.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Chris Rowe from Eckert Siemens. We are bond counsel representing Heritage Valley Health System on a tax-exempt bond issue, which is a refinancing of bonds issued in 2012 for Heritage Valley. Bond issue is being done through the Allegheny County Hospital Development Authority. The reason we're doing it there as opposed to Beaver County is that there is it's part of a related financing which involves Ohio Valley General Hospital down in the Keys Rocks, and that part of the financing can only be done through Allegheny County. So the whole thing ended up being done. However, because the facility being refinanced, one of the facilities being refinanced is located in Beaver County under federal tax exempt law for financings, we need to get Beaver County approval of the project. And that's why we're coming before the commissioners.
And this doesn't obligate the county anything financially?
No, and the resolution states clearly there's no obligation on the part of Beaver County in any way, shape, or form with respect to the financing.
Thank you. Any questions for him or any questions on any of the other resolutions?
I had a few on the resolutions. Number 36, the UPMC, 700 of it is for biometrics. Does anybody know what that
The
means?
biometric screenings is when they come in and do the screenings for the employees, blood pressure.
Oh.
Yeah, those screenings.
Because I looked it up, I Googled it.
Yeah.
It could mean a lot of things, and so, oh, thank you very much, appreciate that. The 41 and 42, I was doing some research on these too. They're both, one's in Newcastle and one's in Oil City. These are adolescent youth facilities where troubled youth go to and they get the care that they need. But the range is between 52 and 91 per day, and the other one is 145 and 185 per day. And I was, I just ran out of time. I'd like to ask Lisa, or Leslie, why such a big range on those two? It could be because of the location.
We can ask her about that.
And then also number 51 is Mark Fickley. It's an architecture firm that helps looks like the river towns. I'd like to know if that is a continuation of a contract that we've had rolling that is just renewed, or do they go out for bid and they choose the architect?
It looks like it's a new contract starting in January, but I can see if he's done work here before or not.
He's out of Jefferson Hills, which is...
That's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
South Hills.
Yeah. And I'm gonna look into number 61 too, the planning. I usually attend, bless you, the planning commission, and I don't recall hearing what that is about the grant.
Yeah, I want to say it was like a $600,000 like brownstone grant. I think they might have applied for it or got it previously.
There was a 600,000 brownfield plant, but that was years ago, and that was phase 1 and phase 2s for different areas in Beaver County, and I thought that was used, and I'm not sure. So I'm gonna ask Lance about that a little bit. And I asked Corey about the sheriff's van that he's getting to transport prisoners back and forth. He's going to trade in or auction the old one. And this is gonna be a lease, and it's in the budget.
Yes.
Any other questions for solicitors?
I do have one other thing there, if there's no more questions about the resolution. We have met, we being representatives of the county, have met with both companies who have submitted bids or submitted RFQs regarding the reassessment, ES&T and Tyler Technologies. We've met with them, we've received documentation from them, and at this point I'd like for authorization for the law department to move forward. We're preparing a final contract with Tyler Technologies. The proposal that they've given us to this point that we've been able to negotiate is $6.2 million. There is the potential we may even be able to negotiate a little bit more off of that. I just would like for direction because, as I think the board's aware, the public may or not be aware, we're under an obligation to be with contract with an entity by January 15th, pursuant to the court order. And these contracts are a little bit lengthy, so we'd like a little bit of time to start moving forward to try to finalize a contract with Tyler Technologies. And ultimately, a final contract will be prepared for the commissioners to be voted on, likely at our December meeting. But we're going to need a little bit of time in order to put that together.
I would be okay with moving forward with Tyler. I sat through Tyler's meeting, EST. I sat through it on a phone conference. I had something come up. I think that's a recommendation from our assessment office, our IT office, and I'd probably say even maybe your office as well. I think Tyler has proven that they're a large enough company to handle our 96,000 parcels. They also run in conjunction with New World, who's our you know, they already have contracts with the county, so they're really familiar with the county operations, so I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I too agree with you, Dan, on that. The fact that they don't use third-party software, I think is very, very important. And they were pretty impressive in their presentation. We've been dealing with different companies through CCAP, looking and talking to our fellow commissioners, and I guess the majority of the counties in Pennsylvania have gone with Tyler Technologies. It's not a good thing for us to do reassessment, especially for commissioners to have to do this, but we're going to have to do it. We might as well pick the company that's going to meet our needs the best. So that's why I'm going to support Tyler. And plus, it was recommended. I mean, most of my decisions have come from recommendations from my department heads. That's how I made the decisions on voting machines. That's how I'm going to make a decision on this.
I agree.
Cool. Well, then we will move forward with preparing a Trine contract and likely have that on the December agendas meeting to approve.
Okay.
And then I do need an executive session to discuss about a litigation matter.
The bid opening and litigation,
Correct.
will we need to reconvene?
No.
Okay. All right. Board of Commissioners,
Christmas tree looks nice.
Yes.
Dan, good job.
It almost looks like it's artificial. It's so perfect. There's not a branch out of place.
There's a little bit on the bottom there. It's bothering me a little bit there.
Anything else before we move on to Corey? Corey?
All right, just have a quick update on the changes that I've made for the proposed budget. We had the discussion last week on the options, so I guess I just want to make sure that we're good, the commissioners are good on the options before I finalize proposed budget to be presented tomorrow. We did go back through, there was about a $3.1 million budget difference between what was requested and the revenues that had been proposed. We went back through the revenue estimates with taxes and other uses of restricted sources, income that we expected to offset those expenditures. That's going to increase the revenues by about $1.4 million. The second item was subsidies. If those are maintained at the base level funding from last year, that would be about a $500,000 adjustment to close that gap. And then there were also payroll adjustments of about $250,000. And the last one was the use of approximately $1 million in fund balance, which is primarily for the contingency for the reassessment costs and other capital items. If the board is okay with those changes, I should be able to have that proposed budget ready for presentation tomorrow.
Yeah, I just have a few little
Yep.
changes I'd like to
Okay.
have made. First one is the Beaver County Genealogy and History Center. They've requested $10,000, and they've been coming here all year. The other one is the Beaver County Historical Research Landmarks Foundation, and they've asked for $5,000. And then the Humane Society, we have $10,000 in our budget. I would like to try to give them 25. Of course, I'm one person.
40, is that? About
30 additional,
30 additional, no.
right? 25 total.
25 total.
25
Okay.
Yeah,
total
so
to the
15.
Yeah,
Humane
so
Society.
15, an extra 15 of 5.
No. 5,000 to the historical research.
Yep.
10,000 to the genealogy, and 25 to the Humane Society.
25 additional.
Total.
Okay.
Total,
I-
right, and they're
Yeah, the
already,
proposal was 10 again.
they were in 10, right,
and
yeah, so another
I'd like to make it
15,000.
Another 15.
Yeah, so a total of 30,000
Yeah.
additional.
Sure you have any?
No.
If we were to put the budget onto the counter, we have 20 days to make changes. Is there a certain percentage it's a percentage overall, not just on a line
Correct.
item.
Well,
correct?
it's on each, yeah,
It's both.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a line item.
It's
and
total and, yeah.
So if, let's say if we were to put the budget on the counter for the Humane Society has $10,000, what is the percentage it can go over?
These would not throw off those percentages.
They would
Is
not?
it? I don't believe. Yeah, because it's in a category. It's loosely defined by the,
Right.
it's not necessarily line item, I don't believe.
Yeah, it's the category
It's
itself.
the category, how category is defined isn't really clear from my take
Yeah,
anyways.
it would have to be at greater than 10%.
Certain
Yeah.
percentage per line item, certain percentage for total budget.
I think it's written category. How you define that is open to interpretation, but.
I
Yeah,
think the question you're asking is, can we put it as is now and still vote to make these changes?
By 15, I'm just using them for, well,
Yeah.
the other ones are not even on the line item, they're at zero, so
Mhm.
I'm just using Humane Society. If we vote to put it on the counter now at 10,000, come December 12th, can we vote to make it 25,000, or is it?
Yes, you'd be
I
fine.
believe so, yes.
I would like to, my opinion is to pass this, or the proposed budget put on the counter as is, bring the Humane Society in and have them talk to us about, if we give them that $15,000 increase, I think I know what they're gonna say, what they're gonna use it on, because they've made the case to us several times over the last couple of years, but more of a definite answer on this is where this money's gonna be earmarked for. I guess as well as the genealogy, even though Laura Lee's been here almost every meeting, she's not here today. But have them come in and say, we're gonna use this we're gonna use this $10,000 for this specific reason. That would be my opinion. So, I don't know. But I'd be more than willing to entertain those requests through that 20-day period.
Okay. So leave as is now,
Okay.
if that's the direction.
And you and I talked this morning briefly about the contingencies, about how we're going to deal with reassessment and how we have money in the fund balance to allow for that. And I know it's going to have to be a bond and how to prepare for that, and it looks like that is built
Yeah,
into
there are
the
contingencies
budget.
built into the budget. That's basically the $1 million that we're budgeting for use of fund balance is a combination of the contingencies and other capital projects that can't be funded through restricted funding streams.
And how we've prepared for the increase of the bond payments that we're making right now. They've increased, and then I also asked you about the healthcare, because we are self-funded. We have to make sure that account is adequate in case one of our employees or their family gets ill, and so there's a lot that goes into the budget. I appreciate the work that you've put in.
Yeah, and the point, the healthcare are based on, we have our third parties give us all the information on the projection, so we budgeted to what they project to be, those costs. And we have that reserve setting aside in the internal service fund to cover some contingency there as well. All right.
Any other questions for Cory? We will move to other business. Any other business? Okay.
So what's, for department heads, what's the schedule for the budget that you'll look at tomorrow, and then 20 days to work with
Yes.
the board regarding any adjustments or changes?
So tomorrow it'll be passed at our 10 o'clock meeting as a proposed budget. It'll go on the counter. I'm sure we could have our office email each
The
department
departments.
or just the entire budget to, we'll have a hard copy now, but we'll send one up, and then we have 20 days. I think tentatively, the 12th is.
I think the 19th is when we're going to hold our meeting to pass it in
Okay.
December.
Yeah, tomorrow's
Yeah.
the tentative budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, tentative, it's proposed budget, 20 days, it could be as early as the 12th.
It could be as early as 12th.
Early as the 12th, as late as the 19th.
Yeah.
And will what we get maybe tomorrow, will that include all of the benefits, the payroll, the stuff was blank when we first saw
Yep,
it?
everything will be in the budget tomorrow that goes on the counter.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we'll move to audience participation. Any audience participation? Yes, sir. If you could just state your name for.
Yeah, my name's Steve Elliott. I have a tax assessment appeal in the Court of Common Pleas, and I've been doing some research, And there are various initiatives in the state regarding the issue of reassessment. Big issue. The County Commissioners Association has a big resolution. The Assessors Association has another resolution. Local Government Commission has had various task forces. Now that the county is actually been forced into reassessing, is the county on board with all these resolutions and best practices and everything else, or something else?
I'm not sure I could look at the
Okay.
resolutions, we could talk about it after the meeting.
I can give you copies of all this. There's all sorts of stuff on the internet, and I just wonder, are best practices going to be adopted as is recommended by the local government commission and things of that ilk, or?
Well, understand that this Tyler Technologies, they've done reassessments not only throughout Pennsylvania, but throughout the country. They did the Washington County reassessment, they did the Allegheny County reassessment, they're currently doing a reassessment in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. They essentially are going to be the ones who are going to spearhead the entire reassessment process.
Okay. The Pennsylvania County Commissioners Association evidently has adopted a resolution. Now, this was done while the county was fighting this lawsuit. So perhaps my assumption is that given that you were not wanting to do a reassessment, you probably weren't on board with the County Commissioners Association's position. Are you now on board with the Pennsylvania County Commissioners' position regarding reassessments or not?
Yeah,
Simple question, it seems, but maybe it's not.
The documents that you gave here doesn't specifically say what the county commissioners, what this resolution was that was passed. This one here's from the.
I'm just.
Here's the, Mr. Elliott, we've met before.
Oh, yes.
Here, don't sound so happy. The simple answer to your question is you're right. We are now under a court order to reassess, and as we are, we plan on doing it right. And I think that's what the commissioner's decision to negotiate with Tyler Technology demonstrates today, is that we're going to move forward with a company that we think will best accomplish that job. It's hard for us to talk about resolutions that we didn't see prior to 10 seconds ago.
Okay.
Understood?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Elliott.
That's understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other audience participation? Hearing none. All right, we will move into executive session and not reconvene. Thank you.